Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sikes. My name is Sikes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out last week's episode. If you're one of the people who listened to that conversation, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for listening. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home, and as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. Today, me and my guest, who is yet to be named, but if you saw the title of the episode, you know who it is. You're smart. We're drinking some Hay Burner from Big Ditch. It's just a straight up no bullshit IPA. My guest today is Ryan, aka Mega Beardo.
How's it going?
And I'm under the assumption that you have some beer knowledge. Right?
A little bit, yeah.
You're into the beer thing?
Yeah, I started brewing my own recently, too. So
that's pretty fucking awesome. That's something that we'll have to get into. Maybe a good way to jump off this conversation.
Perfect. Let's do it.
So we're drinking some IPAs right now. What are your thoughts, if any, on like the hazy IPA thing that's been going on?
There was in certain circles that I've been in that really like beer, there was a thing called Apocalypse where, everybody was trying to out hop each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there was like this, I don't know, it seems like the thing at the time was, let's see how hoppy we can make this IPA. And now it seems like, well, let's just see how
I remember
hazy
like
we can make it.
You had like Bell's Hop Slam and I remember one of like the first crazy hoppy beers I had was Green Flash's Palate Wrecker.
Okay.
And that's, that's...
Yeah, when you start coming up with names like that, and I remember like Optimus Prime was a big one at the time. And so I'm
trends
down
happen
for
in
it.
beers.
Yeah.
I have some friends that have been brewing for a really long time, and I've only really been super into craft beer for maybe like 5 years or so, and I have friends that have been brewing for twice as long as that now.
Yeah.
And it's funny when I chat with them about beer trends because it's just like they've been there, done that, heard it all. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, it's like I get excited about things. Like I got all excited about saisons last year.
Yeah,
and then
that
like,
was a big thing for.
And then they were just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. But it's totally cool.
Like to me, like in West Virginia, we had these weird. I don't know if it was like a tax thing or just whatever. We couldn't get craft beer in West Virginia, really. I remember like 2003, 2004, it was a big fucking deal. Can I say I can?
You can fucking swear.
Sweet. That's what I figured, but I figured there was some podcasts, we couldn't. But
you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So we would have to, cross the state line to get Yuengling because we couldn't even get Yuengling in West Virginia. So that was like a big pilgrimage to go up and get cases of Yuengling.
Totally.
Eventually, they're like, all right, whatever laws they had to pass, they started to get some craft beer down our way.
Laws to pass to make money. You're obviously missing out on a lot of money.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what they realized. But once I got up here, I was just like, holy shit, there's like breweries everywhere.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things. I don't know enough about Pennsylvania's alcohol laws to speak the gospel on this.
Yeah.
But it's always been my assumption the reason why we have such a good selection of weird like craft beer bottle shops and specialty places is because of the crazy laws that we have where every gas station can't sell beer.
Yeah.
And things like that. So these smaller shops are able to get away with it. Maybe in versus other areas where every gas station can sell beer.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, the small shops can't afford to compete with every gas station that's able to sell beer for super, super cheap.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm playing shows and I'm out of town, as much as it's happened, I still get shocked when I like walk into a gas station, you see the stuff that they have, like Jesus Christ, $7 for like an okay craft beer 6-pack just in the gas station.
Exactly. Yeah. So I kind of, it's good and bad. And where I was used to always being able to just find beer wherever, you can just down in West Virginia, you can buy beer anywhere. And then here, I would go to, I used to go to D's, 6-packs and dogs a lot. And
the Regent Square one.
Yeah. And it's just like I want to try every single one of these beers. I don't have to buy a whole case just to just to see if I like it or not. So it was kind of nice to be able to have that option.
I remember when I was first getting into craft, that was one of the places where my friends that were into it would, tell me to go.
Yeah.
And it was one of the few places that we had. And now it's just like insane. Just even in the past 5 years, between breweries and bottle shops and craft beer bars and craft beer bar restaurants. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
like I'm almost like exhausted. Just, it's really hard to keep up with it.
It really is. Yeah. I was just at, where was it? Grist House last week.
Yeah.
Before, the Between the Buried and Me show. I went there. That was my first time there. So.
Yeah, that place is awesome.
Yeah.
They do really good stuff there.
Yeah, they do. They had it's like a Russian Imperial Stout that pretty much knocked me on my ass. So yeah.
They do a really, really good job down there. They're awesome. So Between the Buried and Me, Mr. Smalls, music. You're in the metal. You play music.
I do.
Let's dig into that because it's, I guess, kind of why you're here. I'll sit here and talk about beer with you for 5 hours. I don't
whatever,
give a fuck.
Mario, John Carpenter, let's fucking do it.
Yeah. So beer and metal. Let's get a little bit of background on you because I know that you do Mega Beardo, which is a solo project of yours that is video game inspired instrumental music, correct?
Yeah,
you
for the
rip
most part.
guitar on top of it.
Yeah, for the most part. I did one album that I'm extremely proud of. I did an original Castlevania concept album called Belmont, which is like all original music, all original lyrics. So that was like my big reasoning for wanting to do Mega Beardo in general was because I always had this big
grand scheme idea, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I started off doing an entire cover album of Mega Man 2. That was my first record that I did in 2000. I think I recorded in 2009. And then once I got kind of comfortable with recording and stuff, I did the Belmont record, and that was kind of what I guess got me introduced to a lot of people in the VGM scene.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because I did a little bit of more like research on you, and saw that you are involved in like what appears to be like a super group of video game related artists.
Yeah.
And then you're also in another project, which you can talk about. That seems to be like somebody else's solo project, and you play guitar for like the live band iteration of that.
Yeah,
is that my assumption?
Yeah, that's pretty
is
good.
That Viking Guitar?
Viking Guitar Live
and
is. Yeah.
The name's escaping me of the super group right now, but I know it's like 4 or 5 words.
Lonely Rolling Stars.
There it is. Okay,
yeah.
4 or 5 syllables at least.
Yeah. So Viking Guitar is a guy. His name is Eric Peabody. He lives over right now in Santa Cruz. He is actually in the process of moving to Pittsburgh. Which I'm very excited about that.
Cool.
Because he's now a really good friend of mine. He kind of he reached out to me after I did that Belmont record, and he was just like, "Hey, man, I do the same thing over in California with some guys," and just became friends on Facebook or whatever. And eventually, the time came where he reached out around 2013. He's like, "So hypothetically, if I get asked to play Magfest, would you be in my live band?" I'm like, well, yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
So he did get asked, and he got so it was him in California, me in West Virginia at the time, a really good bass player up in New York, and 2 guys from North Carolina. So we're just like
so it's
all
another sort of super group in a way. Yeah.
So we all came together and played Magfest, and then the following year I got asked to join Lonely Rolling Stars, which is another just like spread across the country type of band where you got 2 guys in Washington State, me, where's the other guys in Buffalo right now.
That's nuts.
So he probably knows a lot about Big Ditch. So
yeah.
So and the other guys, he's in the St. Louis area, so we're all just kind of spread out.
Cool.
And play these cons whenever we get asked to, basically, and never practice because how are you going to do it outside of going in a hotel room and just like not having amps and just strumming to our drummer will play a paper plate for a snare and shit like that. So it's one of those things you're like, is it going to sound good on stage? And then once you get on stage and do your sound check or whatever, you're like, okay, this is
like
going
practice
to sound.
in the Magfest jam space.
Yeah, that's happened. Yeah. Because luckily this past Magfest, I need to turn my phone off because it's buzzing. They did offer us a little bit of a practice space, which they weren't able to do in the past, so that was nice. But there's also, I will say this past Magfest was very they tried their best in the backstage area to make things happen. They did a really good job, but you could tell they were getting pulled in so many directions. So it was really hard to even get a little bit of a practice space for like an hour or two. So
It's insane how much MagFest is like. It just keeps growing. This year, I think it was my 5th year going was
Okay.
this year, and I've never performed personally. Like I DJ'd some hotel parties and DJ'd like jam spaces, and I've gone up with Bethlehem a couple times.
Yeah.
But I don't do any like video game related music, so that I really have no place performing there officially.
Yeah.
But I have seen like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff there, and it just seems like every year it's like just more and more people and more crazier and crazier, and it starts to feel like it feels like MagFest, but it feels like a little different every year. Like I feel
it just
like
keeps getting bigger and bigger, and
And,
there's
like,
sorry,
it just it just feels like it's becoming like less of a music and gaming festival and more of just like it's like the party's taking over too much, maybe.
yeah. I
In a
think
weird
we're all
way,
getting
and
that
like
sort
I'm
of
not
vibe.
normally a type of person to say something like that because like that's what I
partying
liked
too
so
much,
much
man.
about it before. It was like the balance, but
Yeah.
also maybe too it's part of me like getting older and like that realization. It's like, man, I'm having a lot of fun, and it's like, oh, I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm the oldest person here.
And I'm also really tired.
Yeah.
Well, even like I think I've only gone 5 years too.
Uh-huh.
But even from the first time I played it, what year was it? 2014. You know, it was like, 7,000 people were at MagFest. That's a lot of damn people.
Oh yeah.
And then the next year, I played with Lonely Rolling Stars, and they're like, oh, that was 10,000 people. I'm like, oh. And then this past year, it's like, that was probably, I think they capped out at something like 20,000 people. Like, how is that even possible? Oh my God. So yeah, it keeps getting bigger, and there's more, I guess, diversity into why people are there in the first place.
Totally.
Whether it be, if it's there to see the bands, cool. But if they're there for cosplay stuff, cool. If they're there just to party and, whatever, if they're there for the arcade stuff, I'm there for that too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
When I DJ'd 2 hotel parties this year, and I met some people that were I DJ'd the room, and they were just there. They weren't going to the festival at all. They just booked a room and just wanted to hang out. They had no intention of seeing any of the bands.
Yeah.
The video game thing was like, oh, whatever. We're just here to party. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. I don't know. Like, cool, but like,
Yeah.
there's probably somebody that really wanted to stay here that you got their room.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, my mom went once.
Nice.
Yeah, she hadn't seen me play live in quite a long time, and she's like, I want to come watch you play. I'm like, I mean, it might be your thing, but
Well, it's a pretty cool experience. It's like all the shows are like this. There's all this
So
many people all the time.
Yeah, she came to see Lonely Rolling Stars, which we perform in our pajamas, and our our backing video was like a bunch of like topless pictures of like the guy from Quantum Leap, and so I just like, so just brace yourself for that. But
Sure.
she's just like, this was and she didn't say fuck, but she's like, this is a blast. And she's like, all these people dressed up like ponies and shit. Like, this is like a total
Totally.
trip. Because she lives, up in the hills of West Virginia, so she doesn't get out too often. So she saw this big, sort of diverse crowd of people all enjoying just a damn good time. So she really, really liked it.
I was going to ask you, actually, it's perfect. So you said you mentioned that your mother hadn't come to see you play in a while.
Yeah.
And a question I wanted to ask you was like your life pre VGM music.
Sure.
Because I imagine you were probably doing something
Yeah.
prior to the solo stuff. So
Yeah, so I guess like start of the start, I can pinpoint exactly when I wanted to play live music, and that was when I saw Metallica's live shit 1989 Seattle video. Like when I saw the video, I'm like, I'm going to get a guitar and I'm going to be like James
Sure.
Hetfield. So the following year when I turned 15, my parents, I don't know if they thought it was a good idea at the time, but they got me a guitar. And then immediately I started playing, me and a couple guys from my high school got together and just started learning like Misfits songs and Ramones songs, easy stuff that we could, it was like, oh, we've only been playing guitar for a couple months, but, we could probably learn these. And eventually I started singing, so we formed a band and played a bunch of like backyard birthday parties and barbecues and stuff like that in high school. And moved up to college. I went to college at WVU in Morgantown, West Virginia. And around 2001, I joined a band called Three Hole Face, industrial metal band.
Nice.
So that was like Three Hole Face was when I really started to like get into my groove, because at the other
Around
band,
what time was that?
2001 to
Okay.
2004.
Cool.
So at the time we were really the only industrial metal band around. So we
Yeah.
kind of stuck out like a sore thumb in Morgantown, especially because we had this like stupid live show stick where we would paint ourselves up with highlighters
Okay.
and play with black lights and nothing else. So it was just like blackness with a bunch of like, because we were really into bile and stuff like that. So we were all into the fluorescent black light stuff. But that's when we started to play with bands like Byzantine whenever they first started.
Yeah,
And
those
so,
guys
like,
are awesome. We had them up here for Brutal Beer Fest.
nice. Yeah. I was actually out of town for that and I'm pissed I missed it. Yeah, so it was right when Byzantine first got their drummer, Matt, and they started playing some shows up around our area. We played down with them down in Charleston and had a real damn good time with those guys.
Those guys are so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember the first show in Pittsburgh we played was with them and Baghead. I don't know if you...
I remember Baghead.
Yeah. So we played at the American Music Cafe.
Okay. Yeah.
If that... I don't think that's still
No,
around.
it's not.
probably
It's been
long
gone for a long time,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that beer warehouse still there?
I don't know. I don't make my way out there
Okay.
too often.
Yeah.
But I do know that venue is definitely long gone.
I remember we played that show, and there was that beer warehouse on the back side of it, or I guess the front.
Yeah,
side next to the
I
road.
imagine it's probably still there.
Probably. I remember we're like, what's the cheapest beer they got? Because we were poor college students. So
Uh-huh.
we found in the get this the fuck out of here section was this case of Three Stooges beer in bottles. So me and the Baghead and Byzantine guys were out in the parking lot drinking this warm Three Stooges beer before the show. And that show was funny because Three Hole Face, we were an industrial metal band, so we didn't have a drummer. So we played to drumming backing tracks.
Yeah.
And
That name
synthesizing.
sounds so familiar. Did you play Pittsburgh any other times?
Probably 2 or 3 other times. Yeah.
Yeah, because around 2003, 2004, I was in a like instrumental like IDM drum and bass industrial thing. It was just like me and one other dude, and it was just like keyboards, drum machines, and the
Okay.
computer. And it's like I was like, I wonder if we maybe played together because we played down at 123 before,
we played there a lot.
and
yeah.
yeah, I feel like fuck.
We've
I'm trying to remember
probably
some of the
crossed
other
paths.
bands from that time that we would have played with. But
Like
that name just sounds familiar.
Screwworm was another one from around that time. They
What
were
was
around
it?
Screwworm.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, we probably crossed paths at some point and don't even know.
That'd have been really interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, so we at the time we were real stupid. So all of our backing tracks were on a CD, and we never really made copies of it. We just had the same CD, and you know where this is going probably.
Yeah.
Throwing the same CD into your gig bag at the end of the day, and we go up to American Music Cafe, and the first song is just fucking skipping. So it's just this. It's like we finally have our Milli Vanilli moment, because it's like right in the middle of the song that all of a sudden it's just like it's like fuck. Skip to the next song. It does the same thing.
No.
Luckily, like the last 3 or 4 tracks were pretty good, but so that was our first Pittsburgh experience, unfortunately. But so that band lasted until 2004. Then I started another industrial band called Dissension Rate, which we started off industrial. Then we, for some reason, didn't like that direction, and we went straight into black and death metal.
Okay.
It's a natural transition.
Sure.
Yeah. So we wrote a Dark Tower album, like a Dark Tower themed album from Stephen King, and then that band just kind of like dissolved because
As they do.
Yeah, as they do. People move away, and friendships get they do the thing. And that was when I was just like, all right, I've got some time to do my little solo things that I've been wanting to do for a while. So that's when things calmed down, and I wasn't in any bands. I was like, all right, I'll start doing my stuff and fulfill that part of my brain.
Yeah, and I guess all throughout the industrial metal and the death metal and the black metal, you were probably into video games and sci-fi and horror and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, so my 2 main constants in life have been video games and horror movies. So that's, to me, Castlevania blends both of those together perfectly.
Definitely.
One thing I did forget to mention, because it kind of ties video game music into this, in 2002, very early on, a couple friends of mine started this rap group called 8 Bits.
Okay.
They just took Nintendo music and put beats behind it and came up with some admittedly very clever lyrics. And since they were good friends of mine, they're like, hey, you should play a guitar on this. And so eventually I, did live performances with them. So this was like 2002, 2003. So this was very early on. And then, unfortunately that never got anywhere. But I found out like in the scene as I, 10 years later, as I got into it, people were like, you were in 8 Bits? I'm like, yeah. They're like, I've had your MP3s for fucking ever. I'm like, how do you have those? They're like, MySpace. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about MySpace. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that was some fun early BGM days.
So I'm super interested in your perspective then on the crossover of electronics with organic instruments, because you're somebody that's into metal. You know, you watched Metallica video and like you fucking wanted to start doing shit. I'm the same way. Mine was Iron Maiden's Live After Death. That VHS tape was like, I want to fucking be in a band. Like watching Steve Harris, like the coolest motherfucker. But, as I got older, for whatever reason, I started becoming like fascinated with electronic sounds.
Yeah.
Even though like my background was in like rock and metal and fuck keyboards. But it seems like both of us have kind of been like, nah, keyboards are cool.
Yeah.
So like what was like the transition for you? Like what, like after Metallica, what kind of stuff were you listening to that inspired you?
Your poster right there, Faith No More,
Yep,
Angel Dust. Yeah, that's the one. That probably because, I would say, probably seeing Epic, the video back in like 1990. That was always with me.
It was so fucking cool, especially if you're like, younger around that time. It was nothing else like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just talking with somebody else about this recently, just about how that was like, there was no way to not be a kid and not like that song. I think.
Even because it was goofy enough that you could sing along to it. The video was fucking cool. It had a piano blowing up at the end of it. It was perfect. So they were like the only band at the time, because at the time I was listening to Metallica and Soundgarden and like Corrosion of Conformity and Primus and like, stuff that doesn't have keyboards. But I guess thinking it's got to be Faith No More, to where I started to think, all right, so you can still shred and have keyboards and stuff going on. And then I'd say probably when I first heard Strapping Young Lads, City is probably when I started to be like, all right, I can get into this, even though it was a fully organic drummer, even though Gene Hoglan's the human drum machine.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of electronics in Devin Townsend's his sound. So I guess that blended well with me, and maybe my love for John Carpenter scores and everything else.
Totally.
Eventually, I was just like, it's okay to mix organic stuff with digital stuff. It's totally cool.
Yeah, I think for me it was a combination of starting to listen to a lot of different music. Like I got really into like that mid to late 90s wave of like UK electronica, when like the Prodigy and Aphex Twin and all that shit got really big.
Yeah.
And that kind of combined with necessity, like not really knowing anybody, growing up in an apartment building, trying to figure out like, how can I make noise? How can I make music? I don't know anybody that plays drums. The thing that got me started with making beats was MTV's Music Generator on PS1. Okay. I mean, I was in like 8th grade or 7th or 8th grade, and I didn't know anything else, but it was like, that has like, the loops and stuff, but it also has like step sequencing stuff if you go into the settings and like sample libraries, and you can pick your kick and snares, and everything's on a grid, and you could set your BPMs. Like I learned a lot.
Nice.
And then I had a friend that was a little older that had an actual beat machine. I remember like sitting down with it and like understanding how it could work based off of, that stupid MTV game. And then, my first job ever was at Taco Bell, and I saved up my paychecks till I had enough money to buy my first Korg Electribe little beat machine.
Nice, yeah.
Then from there it was just, I just did so much weird solo music until kind of in the same position you are with how you ended up in all these different projects. I started just putting out all this weird solo music.
Yeah.
And then people would be like, hey, you ever thought about singing in a band? You ever thought about doing this? And then here I am.
There you go. Yeah, that's how it kind of
juggling projects ever since.
Yeah, and you mentioned like not being able to find drummers. I think that probably has something to do with it as well, because you it was really hard to find metal drummers for some reason in the Morgantown, West Virginia area at the time. Like, metal wasn't too big around that area at the time for whatever reason. So no drummers were wanting to play metal. So I think it got to the point where like, all right, what can we do that lets us get away with not having a drummer? And that's kind of where the industrial thing came from. Even though the band Disintegrate, I started. We actually had a friend that's like, I want to play drums, but I don't want to play like real drums. And so he triggered these. He triggered like these skulls that he put on top of like mic stands and all this weird shit, and triggered it to like the skull was his snare, and this this little piece over here was his kick.
Sick.
And so we had the backing tracks, but we had kept the snare and the kick out of the live mix. So he would provide the main beat, and all the other stuff would be playing behind them. So that was kind of wild to have this like weird, crazy dude in the back just like going ape shit on this skull that was acting as a snare. So that was kind of fun, but he wasn't a real drummer, so it was kind of frustrating to there was a long time, and that's probably where my struggle is like I really missed playing with a live drummer, and that's why I'm glad I'm playing with people like Viking Guitar and Lonely Rolling Stars, because even though they're not local, I at least get that once every year or two feeling of like just going nuts with a live drummer. It's really nice. Yeah.
Now, you're in another project as well, correct? That we didn't mention.
Yeah. There's another project I'm in called Black Hole Zion. That is pretty much headed by, his name is Mark Menincasa. He's down in West Virginia. So it's kind of his project that I joined actually in like 2006. We wrote our first record in 2006, but we never really finished it. So it sat there. Yeah, it sat there for literally until last year. So it took about 10 or 11 years after I recorded my guitar tracks for us to actually put it out. Because it all comes full circle, because the drummer from Baghead, George Parfit, decided he wanted to play drums on it.
Nice.
So we got him to play drums on it, and we finally released it. So now George, who went on to play for Threat Signal for a little bit, so he had a little bit of a success there until I think he dropped out of that band just for like family reasons. Decided he needed to stay at home and hang with his kids and his wife and stuff, which is good. So. But now he's trying to do more local stuff, and so Black Holes Island is once again more industrial, but we do have a live drummer. And the last show we played was this. We played a charity event down in West Virginia where we played the entire Kiss debut record front to back.
That's fun.
It was real fun, yeah, because I was not a Kiss fan at all really until Mark was like, you want to do this thing? Because he's a huge Kiss fan. He's like, I kind of really want to do this thing. I'm like, let me listen to it, and I'll get back to you. And I listened to the record. I'm like, I can learn that in a day. Yeah. Because it's all like 12-bar blues riffs in the key of A flat, like all of it. So I learned the record. I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do it. And it turned out it was a fucking blast. It was so much fun. So we're currently writing a little bit here and there. Trying to get away from the industrial thing, I think, and trying to go more organic and just more like a sort of heavy punk rock feel, I think. Okay. So it's kind of what we're digging at the moment. With having George as a drummer, it's real nice to be like, all right, now we have a live drummer. We don't have to just like sit at our computers and program drums all day. We can bounce ideas off George, and he'll come up with that stuff for us. So it's nice, and it's kind of energizes to just do more organic, fun stuff. We'll still have synthesizer stuff in the background, playing on backing tracks, but yeah, it's nice to have a drummer, man. It really is.
Definitely. It changes the dynamic of everything. You really feel it when you have a drummer versus the backtracks. And also, if you're relying on backtracks for your entire rhythm section, sometimes if you're playing a place that doesn't have the best sound system, like you're really going to fall victim to some lameness.
Yes.
So even if you're making like this heavy, intense industrial stuff, if you're playing this place that's like one little 10-inch PA speaker, it just sounds like, You're
Yep.
you're up there trying to look all
Here's-
badass. And
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
sounds like.
It reminds me of a good story from the Three Hole Face days. For a little bit in like 2000, this is probably like late 2002. It was 2003. I remember it's the weekend that Johnny Cash died. I don't know why I associate this with this, but I just remember that. This guy reached out. He's like, "Hey, I'm a local promoter, and I get bands these big shows, and I take 10% of the cut." And you guys, and we're like, "Fuck it, whatever." You know?
Okay.
So he's just like, "All right, I got you guys a show." I can't even remember the name of the place, but he's like, "I got you guys a show in Charleston. You're playing with so and so and so and so." I'm like, "All right, cool, yeah, let's do it." So we go down there and find out it's like a teen coffee shop, and there's no PA, and we're like, we kind of need a PA. We're an industrial metal band, and like, "Oh, we got a PA. It's it's in the back." And we looked in this back corner, and there's these two 12-inch speakers.
Yeah, it'd probably been
and
fine
and one mixer.
Yeah.
And one they did have a monitor that was just as large as the speakers. So but just one. That's all we had.
Uh-huh.
As an industrial metal band, we needed drums to be super fucking loud.
Oh yeah.
Especially in the monitor. So keep in mind we played to 3 people. Three people. So this big show, he got us, playing to 3, kids
Was he
drinking
there?
Pepsi. No, he didn't show up.
What a weirdo.
So we're halfway through our set, and all of a sudden, I look down and I just see smoke
Oh no.
coming out of the monitor, and I I'm trying not to stop playing guitar. I elbow the singer. And he looks down, he's like, "Holy shit." And then he calls out to the sound guy. He's like, "Your monitor's on fire." And the sound guy goes, "You want the monitors up higher?" And he's like, "No, your monitor is on fire." So we had to stop that show. And then the guy emailed us the next day, and he's like, "So, like I said, 10% of the cut." And we wrote back, "So what is 10% of 0?
Yeah.
Because that's what we made. So you're not getting anything. So that was one of the worst. Not
you
the
need
best
you
show.
need those experiences though. I mean, you don't need them, but
It's
They,
fun to. It wasn't fun to do like a 7-hour round trip.
oh, is that far away?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Because we
fuck.
live in the northern part of the state.
Okay.
And this is all the way down.
Oh,
to
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a local thing. We're like, all right, I'll just go home.
I
It was
wonder
like,
what that person's story was. The quote promoter.
I have no idea. I mean, we probably had that email later on somewhere, but
That's a nightmare.
yeah. So we ended up getting drunk at a biker bar and staying the night. Just-
Sweet.
yeah, that's usually what we did in Charleston. Is anytime we played a show, especially if it was a bad one, we would just get drunk and just crash at somebody's house, and that was the way to go.
Yeah.
and just make enough for gas money on the way back, and that's all we really cared about. So
Yeah. Sometimes it's you get those shows when it's not going to be anything super fruitful in terms of the band, but
Yeah.
if your band are also like your homies, you can make it a good experience.
Yeah, we've
as
had
much as you
terrible
can.
shows that just ended up being blasts because you make the best of a
Mm-hmm.
crappy situation. Even if the crowd's not great, but I've played great shows to 20 people. You know what I'm saying? So it's size of the crowd really doesn't matter as long as everybody's having a good time. That's why I do it. I don't go out to make tons of merch money, and as long as because I've got a job. My day job's fine. It allows me to do this for fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't need to make tons of money in merch and play to 1,000 people. I'm happy to a group of people that really just want to be there and really just into the fucking music.
For sure. Outside of music.
Yeah.
You mentioned, getting drunk, and earlier in the conversation,
Yeah.
you had mentioned that you're making beer now or doing some home brewing.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah, let's dig into that.
So started probably like last August, I think. So I've made 4 batches, real simple stuff because I'm still learning the process, still learning the science behind it.
Yeah.
Started with a I did an Oktoberfest as my first one, something real simple. And I went straight into a coffee stout, which is like,
Okay.
that's my kind of go-to. If anybody makes a good coffee stout, that's what I want to go to.
Yeah.
That ended up being real good. Like, I don't know what I did that made it, because it's just simple stuff that I buy from northernbrewer.com. Just, hey, shout out to them. But just making simple 5-gallon batches at a time, making 2 cases, and I'll give a couple to my friends, be like, let me know what you think and stuff like that. But I made an IPA, which turned out pretty good. And the last one I did, just bottled it about a week ago, is a red ale.
Nice.
So trying to, learn how to do different ones eventually, because right now I'm just doing extract brewing. So it's simple, just like pour all the shit into a pot and boil it for an hour and then cool it down and then put it into a carboy and put the yeast in and just let it sit for a couple weeks. And
Yeah.
put it into another carboy, let it sit for another couple weeks, and then put it into your bottles. And then another couple weeks, and you're getting drunk on something you boiled a month and a half ago. So, yeah. So I'm finding that it's. I found that I like to brew beer when I'm really stressed out.
Okay.
Because all I do for like 3 hours at a time is listen to music, and I just stir a pot every once in a while and just watch things boil. And that, like, I don't think about anything else. I don't think about work. Nothing. I just sit there and I watch my wort boil, and it's real relaxing. And for some reason, Primus is like my go-to brewing music. I don't know
like
why.
Picture that.
Yeah,
just like
it's
some weird kind of bouncy.
Yeah. So yeah, it's anytime like I've got a kit ready to go and I have a real shitty day, I'm like, honey, I'm going to brew beer for about 3 hours, and typically she likes it because there's been a couple times she's come home and she's like, did you make cookies or something? It smells like, no, it's beer. Sorry. And she's not a beer person. She's more the liquor type. The only beer she hated the smell of was the IPA. She is not into the hops at all. But anything else, she's like, yeah, that smells great. Keep brewing that. I'm like, all right. So probably do less IPAs in the future. But
yeah. You've mentioned that like a coffee stouts were your go-to.
Yeah.
Right. So what would you say is a like one of your favorite just coffee stouts? If anything just kind of comes to mind.
Off the top of my head, one of the best beers I've had was this Flying Dog. It was Cujo.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if they make that anymore. Maybe I haven't seen it in ages.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with them. But yeah, I know I have seen it in the past.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure I have had it.
Yeah, and also was really big into Rasputin.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that was a coffee stout. I think that was just a straight up
Russian
Imperial stout.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any. Basically, anytime I go to a brewery, I'm just like, give me your coffee stout.
Totally.
So the Grist House had a really good one. Yeah, I'll have to think on that one. Yeah, I'm kind of blanking, but yeah, the Cujo comes to mind because it was like, I think that was 11%, and it didn't taste 11%. It just
it's always
it went down smooth as Guinness, and you're like, this is gonna be trouble. So I remember in like 2011 or 12, I was up here in Pittsburgh and bought a case of that stuff and lived off that for a while.
So when did you finally move into Pittsburgh officially?
Officially, the summer of 2015. But we really didn't start getting settled in until probably a year and a half later. We had a real rough first year here, and it was just like all personal stuff. It was like my wife got a job up here, so we've been wanting to move up here for a while because, West Virginia, I was there for 33 years. I was ready to get out.
Yeah.
And my wife got a job up here. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's just make the move. So she moved up here. We rented a place in Forest Hills. And then I stayed down in West Virginia for a couple months to take care of the house that I had so I could sell it. So I sold that. And then like in the process of moving up, my grandmother passed. And so I had to go back down to deal with that. And so that kind of beat me up mentally for a bit, and then then we finally got up here and got a little bit settled in the rental place and had a hard time finding work because I was a forensic science teacher down at West Virginia University, so it was like kind of hard to make that transition if you don't really, because there's not a whole lot of forensic science teaching jobs up here, so I had to kind of to work my way into something else. So after about a year, we ended up buying a place in Forest Hills, and in the process of that, we got screwed out of thousands of dollars by our landlord that we moved out of, and it was just like one thing after another, and then another grandparent dies. Like, crap, man, just give me some time. So like after about a year, everything just kind of like started to settle down. So now I'm finally like getting in my groove a little bit in the city. Finally getting out and seeing shows and going to breweries and stuff, because like that first year I'm just and and the first job I got up here had me out of town like 3 weeks out of the month. So I just it's just like I can't. I was going to these little small towns in like Ohio, where it's like, well, I guess I'm living at this dive bar for a week, and then I'll go home and sleep, and then come back to Ohio. So I didn't really get to do a whole lot up here. But now I'm glad that I got a nice stable job, and I'm actually able to go out and see bands like fucking Mutoid Man and Between the Buried and Me, and all these great bands I wouldn't see otherwise down in West Virginia. So I really love the city. I really love it.
Yeah, you get like I said, you're right in Forest Hills, so you're only 15, 20 from most of the venues in the city and things like that. And I saw you play at Cativo.
Yes.
With was that Urizen, Danimal, Deathline play that show? I don't remember. I don't think Deathline.
I don't think they did. They played one maybe a month or two later with Descendants of Erdrick, I believe. When they came through. I played that. It was with Danimal and Night of the Round.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Those beautiful boys. They're the heaviest. I will say they're the heaviest video game band out there. Like as far as like doing straight video game covers, like them and Deathlam they're the heaviest shit.
Yeah, Deathlam mainly does originals though.
Yeah,
I mean they do cover. They'll do like a cover or two at a convention.
Yeah, I've heard them do like Mega Man 2 stuff.
Yeah,
like seriously, Night of the Round. Just like the first time I heard those guys live, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
woo. It was just those 8 strings just went right through my gut.
yeah. I've seen them play a few times, and they're good.
Yeah, but that was a really good show. Yeah.
What is in terms of playing shows, this is something I'm always really curious about with video game guys, and I've talked to Dan about this too. Just like, you play these cons, and then those are great because obviously the people that are there get what's going on. Yeah. And then, do you play many side shows outside of cons? I mean, like seeing you Cativo was obviously not a convention, but it was all video game bands
part of a video
playing
game
a side
bill,
show, so the crowd kind of made sense. But do you play any, just like open up for metal bands ever, or anything like that?
I've played probably 3 or 4 to varying degrees of I don't know how to put it. I will say one of the very first I played I played at a friend of mine named Logan Venderlick. He's like a folk music guy who lives now in North Carolina. He's like, hey, I got a show down in Clarksburg, West Virginia. Sounds pretty cool. Or you'll do your little Mega Beardo thing for it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot.
And that's just like friends hanging out playing. Like you're both friends, but you do music that's kind of different.
Yeah. And so we show up. Didn't really know anything about the venue. Turns out it was like a little pizza shop.
Word.
But they had a PA. But there was like 10 people in there. Obviously had no idea who I was. But there was like 3 or 4 guys in there that went fucking bananas. Whenever I would play like Zelda stuff or Mega Man stuff, they're like, holy shit. Because they'd never heard of anything like that before. It's not like I'm doing anything new. But for them, in a little West Virginia town, they're just like, holy shit, you're playing these fucking songs from these games that I've been playing my entire life, and they went nuts. So shows like that stick in my mind because even though I only played to 10 people, I still had like a huge reaction to it because, and I,
like those are the kind of people, when you get that excitement, those are the people that are going to tell their friends that are probably into the same shit.
Exactly.
And then hopefully, those friends might come see you next time.
Yeah.
And then those are the people that you need, or the people that are like, whoa.
They'll probably end up at MagFest one of these years.
Yeah.
If they haven't already, because this is, 6-7 years ago. So they probably have infiltrated themselves and now know all about, Metroid Metal and Arm Cannon and all those guys. And you're like, oh, yeah, there's a whole fucking bunch of people that do this.
Yeah.
So,
it's nuts. You can play just cons all year and be set.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, if you really wanted to. Yeah.
I know there's bands that do it.
Yeah, I'd say like Bit Brigade, I think they play almost year round. They play a bunch of cons, but they're on tour now.
Yeah, we're playing with them. We played with them last year when they came through, and we're playing with them again.
Is that on the 23rd?
I think so. Yeah, the 23rd. Yeah, it's
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Oh, they're bringing Double Ferrari, aren't they?
Yep.
Fuck, they are so good.
It should be a fun show. So
yeah.
And then we're playing. Deathlem's playing. And again, it's one of those things where it's like we're not like a video game band by any means.
Yeah.
We're just a metal band, and we all like video games.
Yeah, exactly.
And our bass player is one of the main people that run the Pittsburgh Retro Gaming Convention and the event and everything like that. So we're like super tied into it, like the whole video game thing. But like our music's just like, we just write fucking death metal songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're friends with all those fucking dudes. So.
Yeah. So that'll be a good fit for sure.
Yeah.
That'll be a good show.
Really looking forward to it. We were joking recently about we did we filmed like a Tiny Desk concert. Those Tiny Desk concerts?
I saw that video. That was so good.
After we filmed that, we were like our drummer kind of was going through the settings on the pad and got like these like just dancey sounds, and we were doing like Rammstein-esque versions of our songs.
Nice.
And we were talking about like, oh man, we should just do one of these at the Bit Brigade show, because if we could ever get away with it, it'd be there.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're actually going to do it, but because we didn't actually practice it after that. We jammed on it for like 20 minutes in that kitchen, and then that was it. You know what I mean? After that, like, whatever.
Nice little moment, but yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. I just totally spaced out. It's been I remember exactly what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Video game covers.
Yeah.
Horror movie covers? Scores? You ever do anything like that?
I have done a couple. So in our little scene, Viking Guitar, Eric, he on the side every October releases a curated horror theme record called Dance Macabre, where he gets people like me and like other people, usually in the VGM scene, to do either horror movie themes or horror video game themes or whatever. So I've done They Live.
Nice.
I've done Phantasm. Last year I did Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So, but I will be honest with you. I would really love to be in a band that just does nothing but fucking horror movie themes.
Yeah.
Like I would love that.
That would be rad. It's just like, I feel like that's something that a lot of people haven't tapped into. It's like,
no, that's what I was thinking,
when like Phantomos did that director's cut album. And I mean, that was obviously all horror. There was other things in it, but like, that's like the closest thing that I've heard. But I've also never really dug into it. I don't know. There has to be somebody doing it. Or maybe not.
I've seen. Like, I think it's just like, no, like you would think at all these horror conventions and stuff that there would be. I mean, you've got bands like, you've got horror themed bands.
Oh, totally.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a band down in, you've probably seen them, the Jasons. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're down in West Virginia, but they are, obviously a Friday the 13th slasher band where they all wear Jason Voorhees masks but they're, real fun dudes, real fun music. But as far as like a band that does primarily horror covers, I can't think of any.
I think that the first thing I could think of is I think that it would be really difficult unless you had a group of very like musically trained people to like transcribe that stuff that actually wanted to do it.
Yeah, and because it would depend on which types of themes you would want to do, because you have, the John Carpenter stuff would be easy to, because he already does it live anyway, so that works in a live setting. The Goblin stuff would work really well live because they obviously do it live, but if you start digging into like Jerry Goldsmith's Omen score, which that was on that director's cut, wasn't it? Or am I thinking of Rosemary's Baby?
Rosemary's Baby's on it.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, stuff like that where you got a more orchestral sound. Like, how are you going to make that in a band setting? So there's probably a little bit more difficulty in making that work. Because if you think about video game music, especially NES stuff, NES has 4 channels. You've got drum, bass, 2 guitars, right there for you. So you just get the NSF file and separate them.
Yeah, that's probably the main difference, is the fact that there's so much horror score that doesn't necessarily have a rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. So
or would be easy to like add a rhythm to without like fundamentally changing the whole vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it's that like that lack of percussion that gives it the tense and dramatic that makes it effective to begin with.
Yeah, like a John Carpenter stuff, you have that backbeat every once in a while, boom, boom, boom. But
still, even like you could even expand it just a bit, like go into like sci-fi or maybe like 80s action.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
could imagine a live fucking Terminator metal. Oh man, I'm sure bands have played that one before, but I think that would be, I think that would be really cool. Yeah. So I have played the Phantasm theme live before. When I've played live, I've done that one. It works pretty well. I think as like I could hear a live band doing that one pretty easily. I want to do a lot more, to be honest. Because that's like I said, that's my other love outside of video game music, is just, and I'm looking at all your records, I'm just like, fuck yeah, like all these, just like a Mad Monster Party, hell yeah, like all that, yeah. So I'm really into the Waxwork record label and stuff like that. So
that was like an awesome opportunity that they took advantage of. Just like, let's get the licenses for all the stuff that we could probably get for a reasonable amount.
You would think, some of them
people that will pay 40, 50, $60 for these things.
Yep.
Boom.
There you go.
And I'm like, okay, take my money.
Please. Here's my wallet.
Outside of, retro stuff, what are your thoughts on new video games or new movies, and do you keep up with shit? Because I don't. I don't really play modern games anymore. I have a really hard time going to see new movies. A lot of it has to do with my schedule more than me just like not wanting to see this shit. But I feel so like disconnected from everything that's like current.
Movies I'm more current on. Like I said, I'm just, to me it's a lot easier to be like, all right, I'm going to go see this 2-hour movie than it is to be like, all right, I'm going to spend 60 hours on this AAA PS4 game. My video game, I basically around like 2000, like the PS2 eras, when I started to like say, okay, this really isn't much for me anymore.
PS2 is where I tapped out. I bought a PS3 to get like whatever Final Fantasy came out on that, and then I played half of that and then sold it. I was like, I don't even fucking like this.
I got a PS3, and on the PS3 I played probably Grand Theft Auto 4 for like 5 hours. I played all of BioShock. I played I think I played Arkham Asylum, and then that was about it. And then it was a Blu-ray player after that.
What was it for you though? Do you think it was just like a lack of interest in the way games were going, or just kind of like getting caught up in other life shit and just not being able to make the time for it?
Combination of both, because when the PS2 era hit, I then was in college, so I had less time for that stuff. I had more time to be like, all right, I've got 2 hours to play all of Mario Brothers 3, which I've done
totally
100 times. I can do that, but to be like, oh man, I don't even like
investing yourself in some shit.
Fallout 3. I remember I played that on the PS3. I got like 20 hours into it, and then I set it down because of like work shit. I was so busy. I was going to grad school at the time, and I picked it up like 6 months later. I'm like, I have no idea where the fuck I am, what the controls are. I have to start over, and that sucks. And it's just like, fuck. So I just all that.
It's like, yeah, I was playing the most recent game that I tried to play was some like Dragon Quest game. It was actually on PS2, but
Okay.
it was more recently because a roommate that I had it. So, I put like 20 hours into it and then put it down for a while, tried to go back to it. Same thing. I couldn't remember the mechanics or anything. I couldn't even remember the story. And it was just like, why did I even spend the time playing this to begin with when I could have been doing like X, Y, and Z? I just felt like, I don't know, not to like talk down on people that game. It's just like, for me, I was just like, ugh, I like felt like dirty about it afterwards in a weird way. Like I need to just like, ugh. So now like gaming is like, playing some old Nintendo stuff, or like I downloaded Crazy Taxi on my phone because that's a thing you could do.
Of course.
And I played like did a few little rounds of that. Man, I fucking love that game. I don't know why. I really like the arcade version of that game.
Oh yeah.
There's down at Victory Point in the South Side. I don't know if you've been there.
I have. Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while. I actually used to live in the South Side before I moved here. I've been over here for 2 years now. But when I lived in the South Side, when they first opened, they did BYOB. Do they still do that down there?
Yes, I was there probably a year ago, and they were doing it then. So.
But I remember me and my friend were doing Drunk Crazy Taxi.
Nice.
And it was a blast.
Nice, yeah. I do have a Switch, so that's one thing.
Okay.
I throughout the years, I've kept kind of constant with Nintendo. I thought the Wii was not really for me, even though I had it.
The controls just was so weird for me. I couldn't get into it.
Like they tried to force it on a lot of the games. I didn't get into it. The Switch, I feel like they like kind of knocked it out of the park. So I do play that. I've played the new Zelda. I've played the new Mario. I've stuck with them and finished them. But I can't imagine going back to them for the same issues.
But I mean, like you're keeping up at least with like the big stuff that's coming out, but you're not like hardcore playing like the awkward titles or just playing shit just to play it.
No, like the Microsoft stuff, the PlayStation stuff, I don't really touch. Every once in a while, I'm like, man, I'd really like the PS4 so I could like play this game or that game that people were talking about, because I've never played Dark Souls or Bloodborne or anything like that.
Okay.
But,
did you get to play that Friday the 13th game?
Not yet. That's one thing I really want to play, and I'm just like, one of these days I'm like, please get on the Switch so I don't have to buy a PS4.
Colt from Greywalker, we practice at his house, and he's the PRG dude, and he has like all the gaming stuff.
Yeah.
And he's always before and after practice, he's just on, like just playing something. I got to watch him play Friday the 13th for a while. I was like, I mean, I had fun just watching him fucking play it.
Yeah, I watch videos of people playing it for like half an hour at a time just to get my fix. I'm like, man, this is really fucking cool. Because I'm a lifelong Friday the 13th guy, like big time. So to see like every possible Jason that's been on the screen be in a video game, plus a new one that Tom Savini created just for that game, it's like,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so he made one as like a Jason from Hell version.
Okay,
it's
that's
like
awesome.
Straight up like burnt to a crisp, like with orange embers coming out of his mask and shit. That looks pretty cool. But yeah, so would really love to play that one, but I don't really have the ability to just go out and buy a PS4 and do it. So if it comes to the Switch, cool. If not, I'll just keep watching YouTube videos of it just to get my fix.
Definitely. So you've been in the metal, liked metal, or into video games, started doing like video game music, you're in the movies. In terms of like creative things, have you ever thought about like getting into trying to make a movie or make a video game? Did you ever like flirt with that?
Yeah. In college, friends and I used to, there was a little movie club called The Outlet at WVU. They would hold a little Halloween film festival every year, and we entered that like 5 or 6 years in a row.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
so you just make like shorts.
Yeah, so like 10, 12, 15-minute shorts.
Yeah.
And I got that bug, and I would really, to me, if I were to like hit a reset button sometime in my life, I would have gone the movie route instead of the music route, I think, because I don't know, I just really love the process of setting up shots and doing the lighting, and I even love editing film. Like I think that's fun as hell, even though people would be like, oh, it's boring, you're just like
No.
cutting little snippets like one frame at a time.
Oh,
I'm like,
totally.
no, but it's like that's how you like make a scene work. Like if you've probably seen plenty of movies where you can just be like, you could edit like half of these frames out and make the scene work so much better. So I would love to get back into that again.
In high school, me and my buddies, we made some shorts, and just on like a high 8 camcorder. That's all we had. And I never really had any interest in directing, but I always had an interest in editing and scoring. But nobody else gave a crap about making the movie, so I would just film bullshit just so and like make my friends cut up just so I could like edit it and put music to it and like write music for the scenes and all this stuff.
Nice.
And I edited like an hour-long thing, like VCR to VCR tape. And then like I think about that now and I'm just like, oh fuck, like I can't believe I did that, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And but yeah, again with me, I ended up just going more the route of music than movies, which being the like control freak that I am, you think I would have picked a more isolated path. Like, I think I just ended up meeting more people that did music. So that's kind of how I just got roped in with that.
Do movies on the side. It's a lot easier to pick up a guitar and find friends that are also in bands or play guitar or whatever. It's a lot easier to be like, all right, let's start a band, as opposed to be like, all right, let's film a movie.
Totally.
Yeah.
We get. I've edited a lot of the videos that we've done. I haven't shot them, but like whenever we get people to shoot videos, I'm always kind of like, hey, like, how about you just shoot it? Let me edit it. Like I still have that bug. I love doing that stuff. Me and my friend Nathan King, who lives around the corner, we just shot a video for a new song on the Grey Walker album. We're not in the video at all. Like we like scripted out a whole thing, and it's a kind of like a old school like 80s vibe, spooky thing. Like in a weird house.
Oh, nice.
With a lot of fog and cool lights.
I love it.
Just like that day was a shit ton of fun. Just because like, just getting like, I didn't really do anything other than like hang out and be like, let's try this. But just like seeing it like all come together. It was a blast. Like, I want to do more shit like that.
That's why I really liked doing movies. And I did one Mega Beardo music video.
Like you shot it and everything?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's for my Belmont album, where I play like a mad scientist that's making, because I had somebody build a Nintendo guitar for me, and so I acted like I was a mad scientist who was like creating this Nintendo guitar monster, because the song is about Frankenstein, and that was like right after I met my wife, and we were living in West Virginia, and I'd set up this
what was that dynamic like?
Let me tell you a funny story about that. Because my wife is very, career driven, and she doesn't understand hobbies too much outside of like things that could like make her career, go a little bit forward. And
totally.
Yeah. So she's more into like hiking and stuff, and I'm more into like movies and music and shit. So when we first met, I remember our second date, and I was telling her, I'm like in the middle of recording this Castlevania concept record. And apparently she went to a good friend of hers and was just like, I'm not going to see this weird motherfucker anymore. Like, this guy is into some weird shit that I don't. And the dude's just like, just give it a shot. It'll be fine. And so luckily she stuck around, and but just a couple months later, I'm setting up our basement to look like a fucking science lab and filming this fucking video. I spent all night, because it needed to be at night, and I needed, because at the time I had this big beard, and I needed to have it set up to where the beard grew on me. So I did a lot of like stop motion shit.
Oh shit.
And I did this part, basically kind of like the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman, where I dissolved from clean shaven into a full beard to like show my,
you said like set up the shot every day and just kind of like did it. Like how'd you,
or did
you just do it with like fake hair?
No, it was all, so basically what I did is I set up the shot of me. I had like a stupid like little mustache or something, so I had the full beard, and I filmed myself like laughing maniacally, and just like I had a weird strobe light going on at the same time, and then Went upstairs. I marked.
So you reversed it and then just start cutting a
so
little bit.
I marked
gotcha.
where I was standing, and then went upstairs and shaved real quick. And my wife didn't know what I was doing, and I came out in this lab coat with like this dumb mustache. She's like, "What in the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "You'll see. Just give me a second." So I went downstairs and I filmed myself looking real,
proper.
serious and proper, and so I did this backwards dissolve where I went from this proper guy to this really maniacal, crazy bearded mad scientist. And I did this like stop motion thing where a power glove came onto my hand in stop motion and shit like that. And
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how does she take to all this stuff now? Like,
Now
you
she
got her
gets
into
it.
anything, or is she just like accepting of it?
Certain bands she's into, because she's more into. She's not into metal. I can tell you that. Like anytime I play a metal record, she's like, "You need to listen," because I have a record player downstairs, and she's like, "That's a downstairs record. That's." Like the first time she had heard Meshuggah was around me, she's like, "Absolutely not. This is nothing but fucking chaos, and it needs to not be in my brain." Because she's very like, just her thought process is like, I'm very kind of mellow, and she's just like 100% on fire all the time. She's like, that is too much for my brain.
It's so funny to think about that. Like mentally, like you're really calm, and then just listening to like this like type shit, and then like her like stress ball in the brain. Like I can't handle this.
Like,
I need like
no. So she listens to very calm. She like when she's cooking dinner, she listens to classical music. But the VGM stuff, she likes Super Guitar Brothers because it's like two dudes playing classical guitar, so it's real nice and mellow. But she does like Lonely Rolling Stars. That's a little bit more upper speed because it's just like prog rock, basically. So yeah, she's into a good bit of it. There hasn't been a whole lot that she hasn't appreciated. I can say because I've got the Ninja Gaiden record that I was listening to one day. She's like, "Why the fuck are you listening to this on a record? Like, I don't get it at all. It's just like, just listen to real music." I'm like, all right.
Is there anything that she's into that she's gotten you into?
There's a jazz singer named Jamie Cullum.
Okay.
That she was really into, that she got me into. He does like these sort of like loungy, semi-drunk on whiskey type of like covers of popular songs like Radiohead. What else? A bunch of stuff I can't think of off the top of my head. But anytime she plays that record, I'm like, all right, I'm good with that. I'm good. Yeah. So she doesn't listen to a whole lot outside of like I said, classical music and just a lot of instrumental stuff. She does like country for the lyrics. She doesn't like it for the music, but she likes songs for lyrics more than anything else. If it has a good melody and a good story behind it, she'll like it. But yeah.
What about the horror movie stuff?
That is something I've gotten her into a little bit more than I expected.
Yeah.
Because she was never really into it when we met, and I was just like, let me just start showing you some of the classic stuff. And like,
what was like the first? How do you?
I want to say the first was probably The Exorcist.
Okay, yeah.
Like probably, because I was just like, I'm just going to get you into probably the scariest thing that I can think of. But nowadays, like any new horror movie that comes out, like we watch The Conjuring at a drive-in. We watched The Babadook. She loves The Babadook. She wants to watch that movie all the time.
Nice.
So yeah, just like she really and she'll watch horror movies on Netflix now without even asking me. Like I came home from work one day. She's like, "Have you seen this fucking movie called The Ritual? Holy shit! You need to watch this fucking movie." I'm like, "All right, just give me a second." It was like just came out last night, right? She's like, "Yeah, it's fucking great." I'm like, "All right, yeah, give me a little bit." So yeah, she actually got me into that one. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we were able to kind of meet in the middle on, which is surprising because to me, horror movies and metal kind of share some similarities in that they're like sort of outsider genres, and it's a lot of darkness, a lot of chaotic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Even especially horror scores can be very unsettling, and so but yeah, she digs it all now. It's like she loved It, the new It. She really dug that one. I thought that one was really good. So
Word.
yeah.
So now moving forward, what do you have? Do you have anything on the horizon? Any shows or projects coming up?
I'm working on Belmont 2 right now, so I'm recording that at the moment. Hopefully have that one out by, I'll be conservative and say July or August maybe. I've been saying that I've been working on it for like 2 years.
Okay.
It's one of those things, real life gets in the way. You're like, I don't feel like going home and recording vocals today because I'm fucking tired. So it's one of those situations where just like a month goes by, I'm like, crap, I need to get this going. So so that's coming out. I just released albums with Viking Guitar Live and Lonely Rolling Stars, so those are out and available. Show-wise, Black Hole Zion has a show far in the future. We're playing with Dog Fashion Disco at the Smiling Moose.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I think it's like October 11th.
Yeah.
So that's, like I said, real far in advance, but we just got that show a couple days ago.
That's super cool. I was planning on going to that. So.
Nice. Yeah. So we'll be doing that. Outside of that, I don't want to confirm anything yet, but might play the Mag Labs down in Alexandria, Virginia. It's the the MagFest laboratories that they call. We'll see. Just kind of in discussions right now, but so that's coming up, I think, in September. So that would be with Viking Guitar, most likely. So Mega Beardo shows, I got nothing. Yeah, I'm just recording right now. So I just want to get this record done, then maybe I can work on playing some shows later. But
totally.
Yeah, I gotta get this record out. It's been on my mind for too long.
Yeah.
So.
I know what it's like. I've like a record I've been trying to finish up for 2.5 years now, but it's life.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
When you get into a situation like that where you start a record and a year and 2 years go by, do you struggle with maybe this record needs to sound a little different now? Like, because I found with this record that I started doing it about 2-3 years ago, and about halfway through it, I'm like, I need to make this record a little darker. Like for some reason, I don't know if it's just like the current political climate or what the fuck's going on, but like the vibe of the record wasn't vibing with how I currently felt, so I switched gears and rewrote almost all of it.
My feelings about my project I'm trying to finish up now, the more that I think about it, the reason why I think it hasn't been finished yet isn't necessarily all because of me getting caught up in other things, but just because it wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
There was just like little things about every song that I was like, it's still missing something, or it's just not quite right, but I didn't know what. And then I kind of get distracted by other things and then come back around to it. And then I should add this part here, or this part needs to go away, or this song's completely trash. Get it out of here,
Yep.
So I think it's just overall more just the songs not being ready, but like me having that mentality of like, go, 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 and just wanting things to get done all the time. Like, I wasn't, it's like, I'm learning, and I had to learn patience a little bit more with this particular body of work, and I don't know why. Probably just because I'm like busier than I've ever been, so I can't focus the same way that I used to on other things.
Yeah, someone was asking me just today, actually, like, how do you write? Do you like schedule yourself time throughout the week to like sit down and be like, all right, I'm going to write a song, or I'm going to write lyrics, or I basically had to explain, like, anytime I've tried to schedule myself to write or record, it doesn't come out right. It comes out forced. It doesn't sound right. Like, anytime I said, all right, this Saturday at 5:00, I'm going to record vocals for 3 hours and, just get it done. It always sounds like crap because I either don't have the energy to do it at the time, like I'm just like mentally not there, or I'm rushing myself to get a good take and it doesn't sound right. So I just basically said I'd write or record whenever inspiration hits me. And that's why, like, on my phone there's so many fucking videos and recordings of me like humming riffs into my phone that it's just like a stockpile of stuff that I'll just like, all right, I'll revisit that later if I need to. But yeah, I just, like, yesterday, it was the first time in like a month that I came home from work and I feel like I want to record some vocals today. So I'd spent all night recording vocals, and that was the first. But if I'd done that the day before and forced it, the song probably would have sounded like shit, you know? So,
Yeah.
So it's weird how, you know, your mental state can kind of get in the way, kind of form that barrier of you doing stuff. But as long as the end product is what you want, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I tend to just wait for the moments when I will completely blow any responsibility off to just work on something. You know, it's just like this force that just overpowers me. Like, I have this idea for a thing. I gotta do this, and it's like, but I have to do all these other things.
Yeah,
and I'm a very like schedule oriented person. Like, if I have things to do, you know, I have to finish my to do list.
Yeah,
but if I like have like if I'm itching so hard to just work on stuff to neglect the to do list, that's whenever like things come out the best.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I get that. And every once in a while, like I'll have somebody will be like, "Hey, can you record a solo on this for me?" And it's like exactly what my brain needed to just like switch gears into something else. Like I was asked the other day, and like, "Hey, can you record a solo for this like synthwave track I've got going?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've never done anything like that before, so let's do that." So I did that, and it kind of like got my brain out of this funk of like.
Yeah. And that's a cool crossover too between like VGM synth stuff and like some like 80s action / horror stuff. Like a lot of the artists that are doing that, like, you know, really like hyped up, energized synthwave stuff.
Yeah, it feels like chiptune and synthwave and all that just kind of are meeting in the middle into this really cool new.
And then there are people that like do guitar stuff on top of it.
Yeah,
I just saw him Dance with the Dead.
Yes. Dance with the Dead is very good. Yeah. And I just heard this band like 2 days ago. I can't even remember what they were called. It's one guy, but it's like this dark synth stuff, but it's very sort of orchestral and has fucking wailing guitar solos all over it. I'm like, this rules. I need to figure out what the hell that was. Fuck it, the name escapes me, but it was just like, all right, I'm down with that. It had like theremin all over the place. I'm like,
oh, nice,
absolutely.
I want to know what that is.
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll send you the link. It was pretty damn good.
Cool. Speaking of links, where can people find your shit?
Main website is megabeardo.com. I update it like once a year. Anytime I've got something big happening, I'll update it. But all my music is at beardomusic.bandcamp.com, and so from there you can go back and there's like 25 records that I've got on my little discography of like my stuff and all the bands that I'm in. So a lot of that stuff is
like
available.
A good compilation of all that jazz.
Yeah, because I've been on a lot of like Chrono Trigger compilations and like a lot of like random stuff throughout the years that all is on Bandcamp. So
nice.
That's a good place to, you know, if you're scrolling through like, oh, you did a blastcore song, or you did the Secret of Mana song. So that's a good place for it.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we could keep going.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, we'll just put a pin in the conversation here. And that's it.
Thanks.
I'm going to do an outro thing where, you know, we pretend that you're not here, but you are here. We'll get you involved. And that's all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Ryan, Mega Beardo.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man.
Mega B.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that at you. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Definitely be sure to check out the links that he mentioned. Check out the tunes, and if you get a chance, you know, see him play whenever he drops that Belmont 2. Hashtag Belmont 2.
Yeah, there you go. That is a thing.
That's a thing. And that's it. I'll be back next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sikes. Start the Beat 2018. Whoop! Woo! Thanks for listening. Goodbye. That was tight.